we actually have to stop all the greenwashing, all this virtue signalling. We just have to step beyond fossil fuels. So I'm going up there to really challenge my fellow industrialists, but particularly the fossil fuel companies, to deliver an energy which isn't going to continue destroying the planet, and to my fellow industrialists to say, when are you going to stop burning fossil fuel?
Well, Climate Minister Chris Bowen says Australia is on track to reduce emissions by 42% from 2005 levels. Is Australia doing enough? Is that target enough?
Look, Australia, particularly Western Australia, is a petro-state. And until we move on from this fairly archaic rear vision view of where energy should come from and start utilising the massive energy which Australia has by just an enormous multiple of any oil and gas we could ever discover, which is our own sun and wind, until we start using that to create all our energy and to export energy all around the world, we're just going to be a backward-looking petro-state. And yes, Australia has a lot more to go, but we've got leaders who are looking at the world with clear eyes and saying, hey, yeah, we've got all this gas, but we've got so much more sun and wind. What does the world want? It doesn't want gas. That's just methane. It's cooking the planet. Let's get after sun and wind. It can create the green hydrogen. It can create the green electricity. It can do everything which gas can do, only in a wide, democratic and very competitive basis.
Well, Australia is still approving new gas and coal projects. Do you back a ban on gas and coal projects being approved?
Alicia, what I'm looking for from our government is really strong leadership so that we replace the energy we need with green energy, with energy that is not going to continue the destruction of our little planet. And yes, if you were to say, does this mean a ban on coal or oil or gas? I'd say what we need a ban on is lack of action. What we need a ban on is lack of character. What we need full encouragement of is action, is leadership, character, to switch us to an energy which can do everything we want at a lower cost and is safe for our kids.
Well, after more than a decade of policy inaction, the Climate Minister, Chris Bowen, says Australia is like the kid who forgot to study for the exam, scrambling at the last minute to get there. Is that the perception offshore?
Look, it really is. Australia went through those dormant years where we kept saying, oh, we don't need to do anything. Technology will do everything for us. Well, of course, if that was the case, the oil and gas sector, the tar sands 200 years ago would have never got off the ground. It had government support. Wind had government support. Solar had government leadership. Right now, we've gone through that awful period where we're getting rising and rising subsidies, rising benefits to burn fossil fuel because it was electorally sweet. You know, you just handed out a quick sugar dose. Now I think we're saying, okay, that was really dumb. And we all fell for it. We all took the sugar hit, but it was really dumb. Where we're going is, I think, a smart direction where we can utilise the renewable energy we have greater than any other country in the world, utilise it here to make all the energy which Australia needs and which we can start an export industry which would put our little gas industry into the shade. We've just got to have the vision, Alicia, to go and drive this. And that's where I'm talking about leaders for character. And that's why I'm going to COP, to say, hey, show character in your leadership. If you say you can't stop burning fossil fuel, well, what about you get off the stage and let someone who can stop burning fossil fuel run your company? You're clearly an old guard. See ya.
Do you think Australian political leaders have the character that you're looking for?
I'm looking for leadership character everywhere I go, not just in Australian leaders, but in business leaders and political leaders all over the world. And I'm seeing a lot more ticker in the heart of this government to actually understand we have this massive competitive edge. The oil and gas sector is busily lobbying. There are big ads everywhere saying we're a green energy or we're a clean energy, we're a crossover. It's all rubbish. We actually need to move towards the energy which is being supplied to our planet and to huge amounts in Australia, free. That's renewable energy. Let's capture that. Let's power our homes. Let's use green hydrogen to provide all the firming energy we need. Let's have this country not emitting a molecule of carbon and the lowest cost of living and the highest standard of living, because we had character in our leaders this decade.
Well, Australian federal and state governments spent around $11 billion on fossil fuel rebates in the past year. Now, I believe this is around 14 times the balance of Australia's Disaster Ready Fund. Is that taxpayer money well spent?
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. I mean, look, what the big mining companies do and the big oil and gas companies do is that they quickly divert the attention to little fishermen and little farmers, etc., who swallow very little of that at all. But, they trot out, little Murrumpa farmer won't be able to keep the tractor going. Honestly, that is just using our great mums and dads, our, struggle street community for corporate ends. Corporate ends should say, actually, who gets all these fossil fuel subsidies? Who gets this massive diesel rebate? Is it the people you're putting on your ads, or is it in fact your great big fat balance sheets, your great big fat companies which are already drowning in cash? What about you say, we don't need that diesel fuel rebate? I'm saying to the mining sector, we don't need it. I'm saying to the top 50% who consumes well over 70% of that diesel fuel rebate. You're all huge companies. You can do that diesel fuel rebate. That rebate should actually go to the punters you talk about, the farmers you talk about, the fishermen you talk about, to help them move from the fossil fuel you're just peddling, to actually green energy, which is going to come to them at a lot lower cost and much more reliable than what you're peddling. And by the way, it won't destroy the planet, which your fossil fuel is doing, and now there's no doubt about it.
Well, how easy is it for Australia to encourage other countries toward net zero if we continue to approve new coal and gas projects?
If we continue to approve new coal and gas projects, we're kind of whistling Dixie to say to other countries, you should do more. When China is the largest single investor in renewable energy, bigger than the rest of the world combined, when North America is actually leading the way with its own initiatives economically to make green energy very attractive, when Europe is calling for actually blocking imports from countries who are going to act irresponsibly and not take everyone's children, not just their own. They're not doing anything for their own either, but everyone's children's welfare and benefit into account by just continuing to burn fossil fuel because of some moronic short-term argument that it's great economically, or it'll give reliable power. Well, yeah, it does, but it smashes the entire planet. So yes, Australia really needs to step up and stop having to approve coal because we didn't have the character to put renewable energy in, so we don't need coal. We didn't have the character to put in gas, to put in renewable energy, so we have to approve gas. These are things which I'm looking for character in leaders to say, give the public the choice. They're going to make the right choice. But right now, the fossil fuel sector, Woodside and all of them are saying, going flat out to say, don't give the public the choice. Just show them natural gas, just show them oil, just show them coal, and then they'll have to be stuck with us. And I'm saying, actually, that's wrong. That's actually really very wrong. If you're an industry leader or a political leader with character, you would give your public, you would give your community, you would give your mums and dads, your punters the choice. And you're not doing that right now. You're saying fossil fuel or nothing.
Well, you've been portrayed as a mining magnate who's become a climate advocate, and that approach has been linked to resignations in executive ranks of your business. Do you think that's been fair reporting?
I think that if you're not on the bus at Fortescue, you should get off the bus, and that's all that's happened there. So I'm not really that across the reporting you're talking about, but yes, this company is stepping beyond fossil fuel. And if you want to argue that, there's plenty of other companies who don't have the leadership we have who'll stick with fossil fuel until their ship sinks. So if that's where you want to go, fine, but it's not us. We are going to sail straight into that bright, environmentally green future which all our kids need.
So can we link the string of resignations in the executive ranks to the approach that Fortescue is going in?
I think you're probably putting too fine a point on it. What I said, Alicia, was that I would be bringing in 12 new, very senior executives. I did this before I even started, made it really public. Elizabeth Gaines helped me do this. Elizabeth said, you won't get 12 world-class executives into the team unless the chief executive chair is vacant. That was really selfless leadership by Elizabeth. I announced then I'd be bringing in 12, so it shouldn't surprise anyone that if 12 people come in, probably around that same amount of people are going to leave. So it was all announced, it was all projected, and staff turnover at Fortescue, you just look at the board of directors, we're rock solid. Our board has been rock solid. Our leadership has needed renewal and refreshing, and it's had it. And it's in brilliant hands now, and we're rolling.
Andrew Forrest, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia. Cheers.